So there's this great ecology book I really like by the author Richard Louv called Last Child in the Woods. And it's about how children are not playing outside much anymore. They're not even playing as much anymore. Their lives are increasingly scheduled by their parents, and their lives are increasingly disconnected from walking barefoot on the ground or playing in a sandbox or being in a forest exploring their curiosity. And it's kind of scary in a way when you read the book and you realize that there's significant changes in the last generation in how connected people are to themselves, to others, and particularly to the natural world. And one of the things in the book that really stood out for me and like struck me and I was like, wow, was where he talks about that the average person today can instantly identify thousands of logos, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, all these apps on our phones, these websites we go to, these corporate brands that are marketed to us, right? Yet can only identify maybe 5 or 10 plants and trees or mushrooms that grow in their local ecosystem. So I think this kind of demonstrates this massive loss of ecological knowledge in the last couple generations in this new kind of globalized consumer monoculture that's developed, where we are increasingly thinking and acting alike in ways corporations can easily understand and target. And I think that's something that needs to be reversed if we're going to reverse climate change. Because we need to understand the land we live on again and feel this connection. And it's most important that children are taught this, because they're the future, right? They're the ones that are going to hopefully, the next generation, is going to not repeat the mistakes of the past generation. Even the kind of like millennial generation today is like waking up to like, whoa, like the future might be really bad if we don't act. And whereas the older people, they just want to retire in peace and like live, well, right? And not have to like sacrifice too much, right? Because they have less accountability, less skin in the game, because, they're not going to be as affected by it, right? There's a human nature element to that, right? So I think we need to learn ecological knowledge again. And it doesn't have to be this really, difficult thing. So one of the things I recommend doing is getting the app iNaturalist on your phone. It's a free app. It's open source technology that allows you to identify, using optical image recognition, plants, trees, mushrooms in your local forests, in your local parks, in your backyard even. And in many cases it works very, very well. But for certain, pictures you take and certain species, it may not recognize them. But they have this whole integrated naturalist community of people that are sharing their discoveries and helping you identify what you find. So it's amazing. I'll put something on there and, in a day or two, someone will be like, oh, that's actually this name, the Latin name or a more common English name. And it's so amazing. Like, I've learned so much about the ecosystem here in Thailand, because when I first came here, I didn't really know very much at all. And now I can identify so many of the leaves and the trees and the plants and the mushrooms that pop up in the cloud forest especially. It's just an amazing app. I highly recommend downloading it. iNaturalist totally changed my life. And we even have an animist project on there. If you want to share your findings, I will help you identify them myself, because I just love the challenge of trying to identify new plants and like the pattern recognition of being able to see patterns among different plants and just learning more and more and more and more. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you have, some time each week, go into nature, use iNaturalist, identify plants and trees and mushrooms in your ecosystem, and I guarantee you it will make you feel more connected to nature and give you more of this ecological knowledge that you may not have been raised with, because I certainly wasn't raised with a lot of it, and I've learned so much more as an adult that's just awakened this love for nature on an even deeper level. Because when you really understand how the ecosystem fits together and works together and thrives as this cohesive, holistic entity, this like sentient, conscious entity, it's really a whole different experience walking in a forest. Okay, so iNaturalist. Download it right now. If you have any questions about it, hit me up in the comments. I'm really happy to like jam on iNaturalist, because I think it's this amazing tool that turns our our smartphones into these ecological knowledge tools. Okay, thanks a lot for listening.